Hello, everybody. Okay, thanks for bearing with me. I'm attempting to get a good thumbnail because if you upload YouTube videos, and I'm doing this through the YouTube app on my phone, then it'll just catch you at the most inopportune time where you look the absolute craziest, and then it gives you the option of three crazy looking thumbnails, and you're like, I'll choose the one that isn't that bad. But enough about thumbnails and me attempting to get a good thumbnail. Hey everybody, it's Zainab and I am back on the sofa. Had something I had been thinking about. I've actually been thinking about doing a video on this for a while, but I'm really seeing the fruit of it in my life. And so I thought that I would come on camera and share something that I've talked about in my last two Phaedra Chronicle videos on my weight loss journey update was about self-care and about caring for yourself. And I think when you go to the most base level, it's about loving yourself and choosing yourself first. I know in my video, my last update, I'm sorry, I've had a cold, my nose is itching. But in my last update, I was talking about how it's so foreign. Not that it's so foreign, but it is not my natural inclination to choose myself first, and it hasn't been my natural inclination to choose myself first for years. I'm 45, so this is something that I've been doing for the majority of my lifetime. And I'm just so thankful and so grateful and so happy, and I feel great, just making that conscious decision to say that, you know what, I'm choosing myself first. And because I've learned how to choose myself first and understanding that, in choosing myself first, it's not that I'm rejecting other people. I'm just rejecting anything that does not align itself with my life. And so I had this situation at work with one of my coworkers, and we used to go to lunch together, hang out together. We've, hung out outside of the office together or whatever. But I had gotten to this point where I was just like, you know what, I'm just tired of being negative. And it's not so much that I was negative all the time, but we would get together, me, her, another coworker, and we would just talk about all the things that some other coworker was doing that we didn't like. And I just came to, and I know a lot of it has to do with God, because it's like, you know what, Zainab, that's not you, that's not your character, and that's just really not the right thing to do. That's the lowest form of communication, is talking about people and what they're doing. And the bottom line is, no matter what you say or however you feel about what somebody is doing, your opinion is not going to change it. If the person doesn't want to change, it's nothing that you can do about it. So the best thing you can do is to just find a way to get above, whatever is bothering you, and not be so consumed by it. When I was at that point, it was something that I really had to ask myself, like, why am I so concerned about what this person is doing? If what this person is doing ends up getting them fired, or they get reprimanded in some way or whatever, if they don't care, why am I caring? And so I began at that time, just making a conscious decision to say that, you know what, I'm just kind of done with that. And I can remember, telling this person, like, several times they would come over to my desk, and I was like, I just really am and I really was at a place, because I was like, you know what, negativity draws negativity. Just like the law of reciprocity is, you reap what you sow. So if you're always negative, if you're always speaking negative words, guess what you're going to get? What you are speaking. You're speaking negativity. You're looking for negativity because you're looking for it in everything, everywhere. And I just decided to change my mindset, that I'm going to speak positive things. I'm going to watch my words, because our words shape our world. And it really determines a lot about our attitude, about how our day is going, whether we are in a positive mode or in a negative mode. So anyway, after I made my decision, and it is my decision to make, this person just continued to go on, and it's a whole lot of stuff, and I'm gonna try to not make it so long, even though there are a lot of other details. So also, and why why I'm talking about this is because I don't really talk to this person much anymore. It's not so much that I don't want to speak to them or I think that they're a bad person. That's not even the issue. The issue is we all have choices. And I need to and will and am making the choices that are best for me. And if limiting my communication with you is what's going to keep peace in my life and keep my life and allow me to live my life in the way that I desire, then that's what I have to do. And unfortunately, that means that I'm not open to everything that you're bringing to the table. So I remember, just noticing that, and like I said, it's not that the person is a bad person. I don't know why they do the things that they do, And it's not to analyze and say, because, honey, I'm not no psychiatrist with a degree. I don't know why you're doing what you're doing. But, what I would call a person that comes and dumps on you. And I understand that we all have to vent from time to time. I vent. I call my sister and I vent. Or I might talk to a friend and vent or whatever. But not every time I call you, I'm not calling you and dumping everything that's going on with me on you. And so what began to happen is, it'd be like you come into work and say good morning. And as soon as I say good morning, you just start regurgitating everything you don't like, everything that your kids did that got on your last nerve, everything that your husband did that got on your last nerve. Honey, hold up. And after a while, that wears on a person because we all have our own problems. And so it's like, I don't have room to internalize what's going on with you when I have my own things that are going on. And not once have you asked me what's going on with me, because I can remember during that time period, I was dealing with something very serious and very emotional, mentally straining, spiritually straining with a family member. So, sweetheart, what's going on with you and your husband and your kids and your husband put it in the car and all this kind of stuff? I don't care, and I don't even have the capacity to take all that in. And so I began to just notice that I think it was like once I decided to change my mind, that's when I began to notice the things that were going on and how they were affecting me. And so I can remember just asking the Lord, because I pray about everything. And I was like, because here's the thing. Even if somebody is doing something that may, quote unquote, get on my nerves or I don't like, if it's my job to help that person, I'm going to do it. That's just how I live my life, and that's just what I believe. If God asks me and says, okay, I know you think this person's getting on your nerves, but I set you here so that you can impart some, whatever it is, then you know what? I just have to pray every day when I go to work, which I need to do that anyway. And I just have to ask God for the strategy to be able to get through it, because I have had to interact with a person that was rude and snappy and that, but it was an assignment. So I had to find out, okay, God, is this an assignment or is this a person that is sent by the enemy to drain me of my energy and everything else? And when I say sent by the enemy, I just say that in the fact because, just like God uses people, the enemy uses people. And people are not even aware of when they're being used a lot of times in a negative way. So, I just put that prayer out there because I was like, if it's assignment, I'll do it. But if it's not an assignment, I'm out. So it just was like, no, this is not an assignment, because, it wasn't that like the person doesn't have anybody else to talk to or anything like that, So they didn't need to speak to me or whatever. But it's like, if every time I keep telling you that, I'm not doing negativity, essentially, and every time you come with something negative, I come with something positive. And if you want to live your life and be a complainer, then that's your right. But also, it's my right if I don't want to listen to those complaints all the time. And so it would be like I would pull back, kind of limit access to me. And it would seem like as soon as I'm like, I don't want to seem like I'm being funny or acting standoffish or whatever. And it would be like, as soon as I open the door, here you come with all of this trash. And somebody gave an absolutely great analogy. And they were like, just like when you go in the bathroom to release, what are you doing? You're taking a dump. You're leaving your waste. And then after you've left all your waste, you leave it and you're going about your business. And that's what happens when people dump on us. They come, you're open to them because you're feeling like you have some type of relationship. They dump their toxic waste on you and then they leave. And now here you are left to handle the waste. And so I got tired of handling the waste. And so I made a decision that I wasn't going to handle the waste anymore. But it took some time for me to get to that point, because over the years of my life, I would just deal with people's waste. I would deal with people's toxic attitudes, people's toxic whatever. You know, I would just deal with all that. And so I just had to, it really was a decision, and I had to say these words. It's either them or me. It's either maintain this relationship and not have peace. It's either, or maintain this relationship and allow it to drain me, or I have to choose myself. In that, although the person may feel a type of way about, you know, me pulling back, I can't apologize for it, because I have to choose myself first. And in choosing myself, that is self-care for me. And so although, you know, I hate to just limit myself, you know, from a person, but at the same time, it's like, look, it's my peace, or you're happy with the way things are, you want it. But then it also, so when I began to do that, I began to notice other things. This is the same person, and I actually began to limit myself more, because I think the more I began to choose myself, and the more I just began to dismantle that thinking of, I need to save everybody, I need to help everybody, I need to be here for everybody, I need to be open to everyone, people need a shoulder to cry on. That all may be true, that people need a shoulder to cry on, but that doesn't mean they have to cry on my shoulder. You know, that it's my assignment to be there to take in everything that they're giving out. And so I just began to just notice behaviors and began to make better choices, because I'm sure the actions was already there, but I wasn't choosing myself, you know. So one day, me, this person, and another person, we were having a conversation. And so the two ladies, they had differing opinions. And I just joined the conversation because I needed a little bit of a break, you know, a little bit of a mental health break. And I was like, well, let me go see what they're over here talking about. So I get into the conversation. I love to discuss, you know, I don't love to argue, but I do love to discuss. And when you're having a conversation, everybody has the right to express what they think and how they feel, you know. So we're talking. One person said what she thought, then the other person said what she thought. And I mean, when I'm conversing with someone, even if we have differing opinions, you give your opinion about what you say, and then I say, well, I see what you're saying, but this is how I see things. And then if they don't agree with me, they'll say, well, I see what you're saying, but this is how I see things. And we can have an amicable conversation, a peaceful conversation, no animosity. And then, you know, if we don't agree, and be like, oh, you know what? You know, hey, agree to disagree, or that was a good discussion. You learned something about that person learned something about you. So anyway, in this conversation, I was saying that I could see how the other person felt, because whatever. You know, next thing I know, I'll just call Nancy for negative Nancy, she starts calling us names. And I'm like, honey, I'm in my 40s and the other person's in their 50s and she's in her 40s. And I'm thinking to myself, so I told her, I said, you know what? Let me go back over to my desk where it's peaceful. I was like, because, you know, I didn't come over here to be called out of my name. And here's my thing. I don't know if she was calling us out of our name because she couldn't control our opinion. I don't know if she was calling us out of our name because we did not agree with her. I don't know if she was calling us out of our name because she could not articulate how she really felt, or maybe she just didn't have an opinion. And if that was the case, you could just say, you know what, I don't have an opinion. But so I was like, you know what, this is not a person. You know, just when you take a step back from people and you begin to see how they're really treating you, it's like, you know what, it actually is not a person that I would want to be friends with. Because if you're my friend and I'm your friend, you have the right as a human being, really, to express how you feel about something, as long as you're doing it in a respectful manner. If we're having a discussion and we disagree, if I say, honey, I love this lipstick, Flat Out Fabulous, and you're like, oh, you know, it's not really my thing, I'm not going to get mad with you. Because, and start calling you out of your name and say you're stupid because you don't like Flat Out Fabulous and all that kind of stuff. But I believe, and the reason I'm making this video is because I always feel like the experiences that I have, other people are having them as well. And so I know that there are other people out here that are having, and relationship doesn't mean friendship, but relationships with people that are verbally abusive, emotionally abusive. They are not supportive. They have, oh my goodness, you know, when you are speaking with someone or you're expressing your ideas and then they have snide remarks to say. And I have maintained relationships with people even though they would do that to me, and I would just excuse it away. I would just be like, oh, well, you know, that's just how they are, blah, 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 blah. You know, that just might be how they are. But that doesn't mean that I have to accept that treatment. And so I'm not going around saying, oh, I'm cutting you off, I'm cutting you off, I'm cutting you off, I'm cutting you off. No, I am making myself available and spending time and cultivating the relationships with people that are showing me through their actions that they really care for me, that they really love me, and that they like me as a person. They're not jealous of me. They're not intimidated by me. They don't have snide things to say about me, slick things to say about me, you know. And I think because for so many years I was quiet, and although I recognized what they were doing and I saw their behavior, I didn't check them on it, you know. And I found just throughout all my years of dealing with people in relationships or quote unquote friendships or whatever, that until I check the person, they continue with their bad behavior. You know, a person that borrows money from you, they always say they're going to pay you back. You know that they probably are not going to pay you back, but you just chalk it up to say, okay, it's $5, it's $10, no big deal. But and I had a situation like that, and I just finally had to make a decision. I wasn't mad about it. I wasn't angry about it. But I realized that I need to show this person and teach this person how to treat me. Because in me being silent, I'm just teaching the person that you can continue to borrow money from me and not repay me. And I don't know if people think that they're getting over on you when they do stuff like that, because it's like you have a pattern. In whatever you do, you have a pattern. So it's not that people aren't aware of what you're doing and they're so naive. I know for me, like, I feel like sometimes, and even with this belief, I had to stop with this, you know, always being so lenient with people, saying, oh, well, you know what, if they had to manipulate to get $5 or they had to manipulate to get $10, they must really be in a bad state. Oh, well, you know what you're going to do? If you borrow money from me, you're going to pay me back, or don't come over here borrowing any money from me. And that's what happened. The person asked to borrow money from me, and I knew that they were going to, quote unquote, not pay me back, or so they thought. So they said they were going to pay me on a certain day, and that day came and it went. I said, okay, I'm going to get one more week. Came and it went. So finally, I think like the third week, and I was like, oh, do you have my such and such money? And they were like, oh, what money? I'm like, oh, you remember so. Then it was like, oh, okay, I'll bring it tomorrow. But they didn't have any intentions of paying me back, because it's something that I had been allowing them to do to me for years. And that's on me. That's my bad. So I'm going to wrap it up because we're getting up to 20 minutes. There's so much I could talk about, but these are just some examples of how I think sometimes we get upset with people, or, you know, about what they're doing, and we may complain to other people that, oh, the person is doing this, or the person is doing that, or they're making me feel this way, or I don't understand why every time I talk to Lakeisha about my dreams, she shoots me down, she laughs, she tells me I can't do it. I don't understand why every time I talk to Jerome and we're discussing something, he lashes out, start calling me names or this or that. But yet, we continue in those relationships. And so what I have found, and what has brought me so much freedom, is that anything that does not align with who I am, align with my vision for my life, how I want to live my life, I don't have to put up with it. I don't have to put up with other people's bad behavior, and I feel so much better about it. So that's just, for me, a part of self-care. You know, if you don't treat me well, if you don't honor our appointments and stuff like that, I'm not going to keep inviting somebody somewhere and they always cancel on me, because your actions speak louder than words. People say, oh, we should get together. Oh, so. You take time out of your schedule. You take time to do this or to do that, to schedule something, and then they always cancel. And so it's like, you know what? Let me leave this person alone, because it's clear they are not a person that is supposed to be in my life. Because people that really want to spend time with me, they honor their commitments to me. You know, people that really care for me and love me, they check on me. I check on them. I honor my commitments. I go out of my way to support them. I support them. And, you know, I'm positive when they tell me about their dreams and their aspirations. I'm not jealous of them. I'm like, look, let me help you. How can I help you? You know, or whatever. So, you know, it's nothing like having the right team. It's nothing like loving yourself. It's nothing like choosing yourself. And it's nothing like just kind of clearing the fog. And I have to say that since I started practicing this, I mean, I've started, you know, some years ago, but I really have been very cognizant and conscious and intentional about my actions and who I'm allowing in my space and internally, and who I'm opening up to. And I feel 1,000 times better. So I've said all that. I hope it made some sense. I hope you get something from what I said. And I hope that, you know, if you have some toxic people or some toxic things that are going on in your life, or if you're making choices that are not the best for you, that you'll begin to take an assessment of who is in your life, what's going on in your life, how those people are treating you, how they make you feel, and what changes you need to make. So until next time, have an absolutely awesome week, month, however long it takes for me to get back on the camera. And I will talk to you guys later. A toodaloo. Thumbnail.